Welcome to the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast. My name is Christine, and I'm a life balance coach in constant pursuit of a more efficient lifestyle full of life-changing experiences. I'm a recovering perfectionist who grew up in the world of sparkles and spray tans, also known as ballroom dancing. I became a world champion at the age of 21 and learned a lot about society's unrealistic expectations to be perfect in order to succeed and how it really feels when you get everything you think you wanted. This is a space for us to feel all the feels, to be perfectly imperfect and develop sustainable habits to create a happier and more balanced life. You know that feeling of being on the hamster wheel, having a never-ending to-do list, not prioritizing your self-care, trying to be everything for everyone and still not feeling enough? That's the feeling I want to help you eliminate. I believe we all deserve to live in abundance and develop tools to manage stress, not just learn to deal with it. The acceptance of ourself and desire to evolve while not trying to change others, but understanding that we can only change our reactions is what I believe creates a life worth traveling through, with very little checked baggage. I'm hoping that together we can level up our habits, health, and mindset, and raise our energetic vibrations. Everyone has their own pattern of behaviors they groove to, and I think it's time for a new groove. So get ready to pop that perfectionist bubble society has conditioned us to maintain and start choreographing our very own life by design. Hello and happy Sunday. Welcome to the first official episode of the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast. I'm Christine and I'm so excited to be here with you guys. This is so great. This is a really exciting journey. Actually not my first podcast. This is actually my second. I started a podcast last year called Today Over Tea, which is more of a long form conversation. And it was all about starting the conversation on topics that were really difficult to discuss, usually controversial things like racism and body image and, sexual issues and nutrition and, all the things. We definitely did a Black Lives Matter episode last year, which was very, very deep and intense. But this one's going to be a lot more fun, a lot lighter. And I definitely want to put out at least one a week with this as well, because I was doing about one a month with that. They were hour-long episodes and it was intense to edit. But these are going to be a lot more fun, a lot more casual conversation, and just a lot more to the point. And I think just real, because I think that's what we're looking for right now. For any other recovering perfectionists out there, I think the biggest problem is just everything has to be perfect. And if you go and look at my Today Over Tea episodes, they're perfectly edited with all the things and took some time. But this is going to be a little bit more, talk it through, and all the little, edits and missteps are going to just be left in there because that's the beauty of life. So anyway, let's get deep into it. So this is just going to be an introduction episode. I just wanted to give you an idea of who I am, introduce myself, and say hi to all of you. And I look forward to sharing all these amazing topics of conversation and just kind of going through this amazing new year of 2021. Can you believe it? We made it. Oh my gosh, 2020 was a trip, to say the least. Actually, that's the one thing we didn't do in 2020 was take a lot of trips. That was what we were supposed to do. Well, first and foremost, I'm getting married this year. So freaking excited about that. I am in 3 months, which is insane because it's been a 2-year engagement. So it's just been crazy. But we were originally planning for 2021. So I don't know if we just had an intuition that the pandemic was coming or what, but we didn't have to reschedule. This is our original date. So very exciting there. And yeah. So I guess just starting from the beginning, I wanted to go through a little bit of my intro and outro because I kind of put a lot of stuff in there that was really relevant to who I am, so you can get to know me a little bit better. So starting off, I was actually born in France, in Normandy, which is in the north. And so my first language is French. I don't have the cool accent. My dad's French, my mom's American. And then we moved to the United States when I was about 2 years old. And I have a younger brother who is 4 years younger than me, living in LA, doing the LA thing. And yeah, we grew up in Kansas City, so Midwest girl. And I lived there for like 20 years of my life. It was insane. High school, went to college, studied interior design, did all the things, and just kind of like found my way through entrepreneurship. Um, but I think the biggest thing that I want to talk about, and also what this podcast is going to be a lot about, is what I say in the intro is that I grew up in the life of sparkles and spray tans, which is known as the ballroom dance world. And I think a lot of people are really interested in that world thanks to Dancing with the Stars and people like Derek and Julianne Hough and, Mary Murphy from So You Think You Can Dance, who's actually a good friend of mine. She is in our ballroom world and owns competitions, and we've competed at many of them. And so, yeah, that ballroom world is kind of a unique experience of competitive sport that a lot of people think they know a lot about, but they really don't once you get deep into the ins and outs of it. And I started dancing when I was probably like 14 or 15. My dad owned a dance studio, opened it when I was about 10 in Kansas City. And yeah, my brother and I just grew up dancing. So like he started doing hip hop, I did a little bit of West Coast swing, then we busted into ballroom because we realized we could go to awesome fancy 5-star hotels and do fun things and order room service, and when you're young, that's like the cool thing to do. So yeah, so we started competing, both had partners, and then I danced with my dad for a while, danced with my brother for a little bit, and just kind of went from there. And then the big thing came was when I was 21, we went to Bermuda, which was not a bad gig, I will have to say. And my dad and I competed in rhythm and smooth styles, and which is, for those of you who don't know what that means, the rhythm styles are the fast dances, so it's like cha-cha, rumba, swing, bolero, and mambo, which is like salsa. And then on the smooth dances are all of like the elegant styles, which are like waltz, tango, foxtrot, Viennese waltz. And then we won in rhythm and became the first ever father-daughter to win a world championship. So at 21, I became a world champion ballroom dancer, which was insane. And yeah, it just like boosted my confidence and like sent me skyrocketing into entrepreneurship and teaching and coaching and like, oh my gosh, I can do this. This is like, it was crazy. But I think the biggest thing is just like, I think what we're going to dig deep into, which I say on my Instagram as well, is like confessions of a confessions of a competitive ballroom dancer, is that you'll get to kind of get an inside look at just what it takes to be at that level of competitive sports. And I think I've talked to a lot of other athletes who do like gymnastics, martial arts, a lot of, basketball, football, all those things, that when you get to that level, it's like the margin for error is so minuscule that you really can't mess up. Like you need to be on your shit. And it's intense. It's like you don't really think about it when you're growing up in it, especially in ballroom dancing, because it's like, oh my gosh, I get to wear pretty dresses and I get to where, I get to do a spray tan, I get to have my hair all done, and I get to wear sparkles, and I get to dance, and, it's so exciting. But then when you get deep into it and you realize exactly what is going on, I think what it did for me as an adult is a few things that I had to like then unlearn in a sense, for lack of a better word. But it's more like the disciplines that you learn in that sport and how you have to not take some of those into your real life. Because what happens is that you end up becoming a perfectionist and nothing is ever good enough because you're constantly being judged by judges in those sports, and it's just insane. It's like you don't even know where to go anymore because all you're trying to do is just reach the top, and any little margin for error is not going to be good enough. So you're really kind of getting this like not feeling good enough mantra going on until you reach that top. And I will say the flip side of that coin is once you do reach it, which I did when I was, 21, it was amazing, but also it doesn't always feel the way that you thought it was going to feel. And I'm hoping later on to have a good friend of mine who is a competitive dancer as well, and she did the same thing. She didn't quite grow up in it, but she definitely spent a lot of her young years into adulthood competing and then starting amateur, going pro, doing the whole thing. And like she accomplished something last year that was just like unheard of as far as winning certain titles in a row. And afterwards, she said the same thing. It was just like, wow, there was like a huge letdown. I felt like I hit a wall. I was a little bit depressed. Like we had some similar conversations, and it was just crazy that we were both feeling the same things and just kind of feeling like, where do we go from here kind of thing. So another good kind of continuation of that is an episode I'm going to do later with my brother about the new Disney movie Soul, because it's all about him trying to accomplish this big goal. And once he gets it, what happens after that. So moral of the story is enjoy every moment, because we can work for one thing and then you finally get it, and it's not always as amazing as you thought it was, even though it can be amazing in that moment. Sometimes you feel more lost afterwards. So enjoy the journey. That's what they always say, right? So yeah, what else? Let's see. So my big thing is all about being balanced. So I am a life coach. I call myself a life balance coach because I am big on balancing, and I'm a Libra, so that's probably where that stems from. But also when it comes to both the physical sense of balance and the mental sense of balance. So like in my industry with dancing, balance was crucial. Obviously, if you don't have balance, you're not a good dancer. You have to kind of like move from your core and make sure that you're, on one foot or the other, and that you're balanced. But mentally being balanced in life, I think that was something that I definitely had to learn at a young age, like how to balance going to school and taking weekends off to go compete, and then doing my homework, and then being a kid, but also being an adult, because when you're competing with adults, so it's not really that much different. Also, they treat you very much like an adult, so it's like balancing that childhood, but also, trying to be this character in this industry. So balance is a big talking point for me, and that's kind of what I base a lot of my business off of, and how I work with my clients is how they can develop these amazing sustainable habits that allow them to have balance in their life. And going on the tangent of sustainable habits, that's another thing you're going to hear me say a lot, and a lot of people are like, what does that mean? So sustainable is a huge word I love to use right now. Not just right now, I've actually liked it for a long time, but specifically I think it's become this buzzword in the last few years because of talking about the environment being sustainable, or things that we do that are sustainable for the environment. But I think that word in itself is just how to create longevity. And I think a lot of people, most people don't have that in their habit building. And then their daily routines. So usually we create a habit, and what ends up happening is that, like, especially now, it's like, January 2nd, so New Year's resolutions are popping off everywhere, and people are like, I want to get six-pack abs, I want to get back in the gym, I want to eat right, I want to start that business, I want to do all these things, and then come February, everyone's kind of like lost, like they missed the boat, or they gave up, and they just aren't doing it anymore. And that to me is not really a habit. That's just something that you're trying to do to build something. And they say it takes 21 days to build a good habit, but I think it takes much longer. I think it's more like 90, honestly, to build a really good habit, because there's so many things in this world that are distracting us. We have like chronic ADD all the time. It's like squirrel left and right. And so with all of the things that are trying to take our attention, our brains it's overload, it's sensory overload. And so we're trying to create all of these good, healthy habits, and then we're getting distracted by Netflix, and we're getting distracted by social media, and we're getting distracted by, all the media being sent out to us from, I live in Las Vegas, so driving down the strip is major sensory overload. You're just constantly getting bombarded with this residency and this show and this food and this and this casino and the Bellagio fountains, and it's insane. So sustainable to me is such an important thing, and that's really the only thing that I see that is consistent in successful people that I talk to, is that they have consistency and sustainability in what they do. So they don't just do something and then move on to the next thing and then move on to the next thing, or they're doing 5 things at once and everything's just kind of going in so many different directions. They're really focusing on 1 or 2 major things, and they're consistent every single day with it. Even if they see dips or they don't see growth, they know that they're on the right path. And I think that's where a lot of people lose their habit building, is they're like, oh, well, I'm not seeing growth. I'm not seeing the 6-pack abs, so I'm just going to stop because it's not worth my time. And it's like, well, I mean, how bad do you want it? So if you want it that bad, you'll stick with it and you'll wait until you get through that plateau area so you can get those results. So that's another big thing I do. So in my life coaching business, I have a program, a 3-month program that's called Healthy Habits and Happiness. So it's really all about finding the way habits work for you. Because that was also a big thing for me, is that I was told most of my life, if I wanted to be a successful entrepreneur, that I had to wake up at 7 a.m. every day. And I had to read all these books. And I was like, okay, well, I can read all the books. That's fine. But I'm really more of a night person. Like in ballroom dancing, we are all like dancing till the wee hours of the morning, and we go out, salsa dancing and all these things. And the competitions last so late. And so you really just are up till like 2 a.m. and then you end up, sleeping till like 11 or 12. And then you do it all over again. And I enjoyed that lifestyle. For me, even today, I schedule meetings starting at like noon or 1, and that doesn't bother me because I get everything done, and I also like thrive more in the evening time. That's when my peak hours are. So I have a business coach that I work with. His name is Ross Johnson. He's amazing. And he says it should be less about time management and more about energy management. And that was like a light bulb moment for me. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm feeling. I just didn't know how to verbalize it. And so the way I feel is exactly what he said, is that you need to be managing when your energy is at its peak. When is the best for you? Not everyone's going to be, good in the morning. Not everyone's going to be good in the evening. Some people are not, morning people, and they get tired by like 9 or 10 p.m. and that's totally fine. A lot of people in the corporate world, then they kind of live that lifestyle and they don't know how to break that lifestyle. So even if they don't have to wake up early, they still do, or they feel like they need to wake up with the sun or whatever it may be. Well, for me, I'm the complete opposite. I'm like night owl. No one's bothering me. Phone's not going off. So I can actually focus and get stuff done. I'm actually recording this podcast right now, like 10 p.m. Haven't had dinner yet. I'm going to bust out some dinner here in a bit after this. And I feel like I've got tons of energy. Like this is when I thrive. So I love that whole little mantra there, that whole energy management instead of time management. But going back to, and then I recently started doing, I've always been into the law of attraction. So I've lived my life that way thanks to my dad. He introduced me to that when I was about 12 years old. 2 amazing books, just right off the bat, if you guys want to read it. The Secret is great. It's law of attraction. But I think if you want to get even deeper these days, it's manifestation. And I'll get into that in a minute. But then the 5 love languages is just a game changer, like absolute game changer. And that's just about building healthy relationships. And that's really what life is all about, is about coexisting, communicating with people. And that's really like the essence of kind of why we're here, I feel. But so I did law of attraction for a while. Most of my life, and just constantly just pushing through. Like I can make it, positive vibes. What you put out comes back. So I was doing all the good things. And I found about a year ago, I found this coach. Her name is Kristen Jenna, and she is a manifestation coach. And she created this program that allowed you to dive deep into what manifestation is and releasing all of your childhood traumas, your limiting beliefs that are holding you back as an adult to manifest anything that you want, and how she manifested her dream life and all of these things. And I've always been kind of like a advocate of like creating your life by design kind of person. So I was like heavy onto this. I was like, this fits totally in with my mantra. Like, this is so great. And I feel like it's like the law of attraction and The Secret on like steroids. It's like the next level of all of that. So it was totally aligned with who I was as a person. I was super excited for that. And so, yeah. So I've been doing that. I just got certified in that. So I've been able to add the manifestation, basically routines, techniques, all of that stuff into my mindset modules of my Healthy Habits and Happiness coaching program, which has been awesome. And it's been a game changer for my clients as well. So that's been really cool. And I'll probably be sharing more and more about that as we go, for those who are interested, because I think I think everyone is trying to get healthy habits, good daily routines, and they want them to last. I think we get caught up in the grind of life and responsibilities and kids and soccer games and, birthdays and holidays and all the stuff. And then we forget to take those self-care days. We forget to pencil in time for us and making ourselves better and grow. And the to-do list just never ends. And we are constantly trying to please everyone else and put them first when we're really not putting ourselves first. And my biggest, which you'll probably hear me say this over and over again too, is the whole metaphor of putting your mask on first on the airplane before you help someone else. And I think that is also very relevant to 2020 since we have had a year of wearing masks. But definitely like making sure you're putting your mask on first before you're helping everyone else. And that doesn't mean that you're selfish. It just means that you are taking care of you, because if you're sick or you're not mentally well or you're overwhelmed or stressed or tired, you're not going to be of any good to anyone else. So very important to jump into that idea. Yeah, and I think it's a lot, honestly. I don't even know how to, like, the intro episode is so hard because I just want to like tell you everything, but I feel like things will be revealed as we go. But if anyone has any questions, specifically about me, my life, who I am, like feel free, like put it in the comments, DM me on social media, like all of it. The Instagram is the Instagram is Recovering Perfectionist Podcast, and Facebook as well, so you guys can DM me, and I'm Christine Barr on Facebook. But yeah, I think the biggest thing, like I said, I'm getting married this year. I met my fiance about 4 years ago. We just celebrated 4 years in November, and he is Haitian, and we met dancing. Surprise. And he is amazing. He was born in Haiti and then moved to Boston, and then we met in Las Vegas. And we met salsa dancing. He's an awesome dancer. And so it doesn't really come from my world. He comes from more like the Latin, Afro-Cuban, Caribbean kind of vibe. And it's just amazing. He does kizomba and salsa, bachata, all those things. And so it's been a really nice blend of styles for us, for sure. And yeah, we love to travel. So we're also on Instagram at Love to Voyage. So the number 2, Love to Voyage. And we've had our Instagram now, I think we just hit like 2 years on the Instagram. And it's just been really fun to just kind of throw up like dancing stuff and travel stuff. And, we go to France a lot because that's where my family's from. And, we've traveled through the United States with the dance competitions. And he owns a digital media business. So he does a lot of amazing photography and videography. And so he has his own company and does all of that. So, and then I've been doing my life coaching. So it's been really nice to kind of like have our things together and have our separate things so we don't like lose our identity in our relationship. But don't be fooled. That was not a automatic thing. That was definitely a, something that we curated for sure. But But yeah. So I think just to kind of wrap up this first episode, let's see here. I want to just jump into like what I say at the end, because I think that's going to be a huge reoccurring theme in what we're doing here. And so I think this is really important to kind of like hone in on. So the last little phrase that I like to say is perfection doesn't exist. Take messy action. Habits keep us balanced, and you are enough. So to kind of break that down, obviously, recovering perfectionist, perfection doesn't exist. So that's just kind of like, if you already just put that in your head, like perfect is not a thing. So if you are like me and you're always trying to make sure that you don't, stumble on your words and, oh, that didn't sound peppy enough. And, oh, I just, spit into the mic. And so there was this big puff of air, like all of these things, like we can just dissect ourselves to like forever. So you just have to kind of like run with it. And that goes into the second thing, which is taking messy action, which actually I got from Kristen, my manifestation coach. She kind of uses this phrase a lot, and I've kind of acquired it because I like it and it feels very aligned, because it's the concept in entrepreneurship, I think, is kind of the fake it till you make it, which I have kind of been resenting that phrase the last year, because I'm just kind of been like, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm sick of faking it and I just want to be making it already. But the whole take messy action thing is more like going in the direction of feeling what you're aligned in and then just running with it. So you're not going to have all the pieces yet. You're not going to know everything that you're going to say. You're not going to have all of your, just pieces to your puzzle. So just run with it and you're going to develop as you go, and it's going to be better and better and better. It's kind of like when you see people at the start of their podcasting career or at the start of their business and how their logos evolve and how their cover photos evolve and, their editing gets better and all those things. And it's like, if they were to wait until all of that was perfect, they would never do it because there's never a perfect time because perfection doesn't exist. And so they developed that over time as they started meeting people and started doing things. And then, oh, wait, I could do this instead of this. And look, I just found this new tool on my computer. And so you just have to kind of run with it and take messy action, and you're going to evolve and grow. And people are going to love to see your growth. Honestly, I think that's the biggest thing that I had to tell myself is people like to see people grow. And so just know that, like, even though it doesn't feel perfect for you and you want to put out a perfect project or business, people like to see the underdogs, and they like to see you grow. So, and then of course, my thing is habits. So habits keep us balanced, and that's just, pretty straightforward. Like, we're going to talk a lot about sustainable habits on this podcast and what that means and how that helps people like me and you maybe become a recovering perfectionist, because habits are customized to your lifestyle. And I think that people need to develop habits that work for them and don't just take a habit from society and say, oh yeah, I'll adapt that. And then it doesn't feel aligned and they can't do it. And then they stop after 3 months. They need to find a habit that they want to acquire and find out how they can make it work for them. So, and then the last one is just pretty basic. It's you are enough. And I don't think enough people say that to themselves in the mirror. I think that's an affirmation everybody should be saying. I think I've definitely learned this year that I put myself down a lot more in my self-talk than I thought I did. And that's just something that we all have to come to terms with and not be so hard on ourselves. And just know that, like, you were put on this earth for a human experience, and the human experience is not perfect, and you're enough in what you're trying to do, and just keep moving forward and keep working hard and keep feeling like inspired and take messy action. They all kind of come back around, as you can see. So at least now you know, when you hear the end of it, what that means and kind of where my thought process is when I decided to put that in there. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for listening to the first official episode of the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast. And I look forward to raising our energetic vibrations on this journey with you. It's going to be really fun. And if you guys have anything you want me to talk about, feel free to screenshot this episode and share it on social media at Recovering Perfectionist Podcast, and I will be happy to chat with you guys. And I would love to throw some topics up here that you guys want to talk about, answer some questions, whatever it is that you're looking for. Let's make this an open dialogue. So thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast. I'm Christine, and if this episode resonated with you or spoke to you in any way, please feel free to share. I absolutely love hearing from you guys and your thoughts about the topics based on your experiences. And also, if there's anything you want me to talk about, just screenshot this episode and share it on social media with your comments. Your feedback really helps me to curate episodes that best serve you. If you have time, I would greatly appreciate if you could leave a review wherever you're listening to this episode, whether on Apple or Spotify or any other platform. I'm wishing you a blessed week ahead, and remember, perfection doesn't exist. Take messy action. Healthy habits keep us balanced, and you are enough.